forgot we got to open another link. I forgot that. Shit.
Each module, you'll get personal top tips from training Asians for 25 years to English more confidence. You'll also see someone just like presenting their biggest communication challenge, and you watch them live in a one-to-one coaching session, improve right there on the spot. And that's all. In every module, I also personally consult with one of the world's global leaders in communication and leadership. Our guests don't just get a personal coaching session with me. For every guest, I reach out to global experts in communication leadership for their advice. That's right, I speak to some of the world's leading experts in these areas, and they give me their absolute best tips, and that means that you learn from the best of the best. They're coming to us from Singapore all the way to San Francisco. Here's a few examples.
It's that simple. So what we think drives how we feel drives how we behave drives our thoughts. Now we don't know what you feel until, but what we do know is the results that you're getting and the that we're seeing.
So a lot of times people will say speak from the heart, and I find that will warm the voice. However, speaking from the heart a lot of times doesn't do women of category much service because they soften still.
When people think about no, they're thinking in something in isolation. No and yes are flip sides of the coin, right? So when we make a incision into a piece of meat or a surgeon cuts into a body, you're cutting in. When we make a decision apart, and the two sides of a decision is we say yes to one thing and we say no to something else.
Your life.
Hello everyone, Assalamu alaikum. I hope you all are doing well. Welcome my dear audience and viewers. So today I am hosting along with a few other hosts amazing show that is getting broadcasted all over the world. So today we have so many special people with us. They're gonna be talking, and you can be asking you guys questions, have a lot of fun together. So my name is Ishika Mazabin. I'm one of the most regular hosts in English Olympiad page. I host the Tongue Twister show most of the time. And yeah, that's really great, really fun. I'd like to hand the mic over to my other host, my colleague, Miss Lamia Rahman Rosa.
Hello everybody, I'm Lamia Rahman Rosa and currently working as the branding English Olympiad. So my journey as campus ambassador to an organizer, head of brand, it was really worth it. And yeah, I'm hosting event competition since 2016. Today's show we have the most prestigious, stunning, gorgeous Marianna Pascal, one of the most popular TED Talk speakers around the world. So before going into Marianna, I would like to give the mic to Doreen, and then we'll be proceeding towards our turn. Doreen?
I have no Doreen right now. There she is.
Doreen will be further explaining.
Doreen, your mic's muted.
Your mic.
Okay, yeah.
Hi, guys.
Hi, everyone. I'm Doreen Chinero. I'm currently a student at the University of Melbourne, and I've been working with English Olympiad for the last around 2 years. I'm currently a coordinator, and it's an honor to have here Marianna. It's amazing, and I really look forward to hearing everything she has to tell us, all the tips. And now I'm just going to pass the mic over to Winston.
Hi everyone, I'm Winston. I'm the producer of Show Up, and it's such an interesting collaboration time where we're working with English Olympiad on this Facebook Live. It's in fact this first time me and Marianna go on Facebook Live on this project, isn't it? So welcome everybody. Now I'm gonna pass the mic back to our first group of hosts.
So, hi everybody. So, today Mariana will be talking about various aspects of learning English and what are the challenges we face in our everyday lives. So, we actually gave you some challenges, like what are the challenges that you guys face every day, and from that, we will have a drum roll session, and we'll be moving towards that. The first question that we got and the first challenge was basically, what if we do not have confidence? And I would like to ask Mariana, and she will be taking it right now because you have been in Asia for 25 years. So what are the things that you basically see people lacking confidence, right? So yeah, back to Mariana.
Yes, hi. Thank you very much. Yeah, this was the fifth to the top challenge that you faced, that you sent us in your comments. So widespread across Asia, and a lot of it, I think, is very much to do with the education. I know, and I think it's many of you are going to agree that you learn English in school in a way that is, we say, not so much fun. You're learning in a way that doesn't really connect to how you might talk to people. You've got to memorize little grammatical rules, and you come out of there frozen solid. You may be able to pass an exam. I've seen many people that get A's on their exams, but they still cannot meet someone like me and form a sentence. If I can share a quick story. There was a woman in my building here in Malaysia, and I used to see her every day at the lift. And when she saw me getting into the same lift as her, and she knew we were going to be in the lift together, she would just panic. I mean, she would stand in the lift looking up at the numbers, pressing the button. She just couldn't wait to get out of there. And when I tried to talk to her, she just shrugged her shoulders like she couldn't speak English. But one day, something happened. One day, she knocked on my door, and her son had gotten lost in the lift himself, her little 2-year-old son. And suddenly, all this English came out of her. So actually, even though she didn't have confidence, push came to shove and she needed my help to find her son, the English was there. So confidence and ability are very different things.
That's amazing. So, all right. So I'll be announcing that there's a free giveaway session, and that would be further explained by Ishika. So can you please tell about the free giveaway session by Mariana?
All right. So you all have to comment down below what actually, as you're seeing this amazing show with our pretty Marianna Pascal and our amazing show host Lamia Rahman Rosa. So as you guys will be commenting down in the comment section, we're going to be having a giveaway. This is like a book that our beautiful Marianna Pascal wrote about learning English, a whole set. So that's what you're going to be getting as a gift. And I hope you guys win. Just keep commenting down below if you really want to win. I mean, I wish I was commenting right now. But yeah, it's more amazing that I'm talking to Marianna Pascal by myself. Anyways, so as the topic is about confidence right now, so Marianna, could you please tell us how you discovered how to grow confidence within you, inside you? As you've seen, most of the people in Asia, as you've stayed here for 25 years, you may have noticed something, obviously, because not all people are the same, and you've went to a lot of shows in here. So could you please explain the scenario that you've been seeing all over Asia and how you think they can overcome this whole thing?
Sure, absolutely. But first I want a little drum roll, because this is your fifth biggest challenge that you have, is confidence, and it's usually to do, obviously, with speaking English. So drum roll, please. Thank you. Yeah, so confidence. Confidence, again, it is very much linked, the lack of confidence is so linked to the way that people are learning English in school. And I can completely understand it, because how can you possibly learn English in a way where you're reading and you're writing and you're learning rules and you're getting graded on basically not making mistakes, right? I mean, isn't that how you're graded? You write an essay and you lose marks for every mistake that you make. So you come out of school and you're paralyzed thinking that people are going to notice your mistakes. And of course, when you start noticing that people are going to notice your mistakes, when your focus is so much on yourself and self-awareness about making mistakes and getting it correct. Am I being judged? Are they noticing my poor grammar and my poor vocabulary and my lousy pronunciation? When you think like that and all that focus is on you, you can't hear the other person. You can't think clearly. Your brain kind of goes dead. You don't hear what they're saying. And you're frozen solid. I know a lot of you can relate to that. Please share in the comments if you can relate to that feeling where you just kind of freeze up and nothing comes out of your mouth. So the trick to having confidence in English, because I'll tell you something, in my 25 years working here, helping people to communicate with more confidence, I can tell you, people with a very, very low level of English may communicate very, very well. I'm going to tell you a little story about my ex-husband in a minute. People can communicate very well. The trick is to not care so much about yourself. Look, I'm going to do a little experiment. I'm going to show you an experiment. Okay, here, I've got this jug of water. Can you see this? This is a jug of water, and I'm going to pour the jug of water into this glass. So imagine this is all of your English in here. This is you speaking. And you've got to get your English out. You've got to get your words out into this other person. You've got to get them to hear it. Now, what happens if you're completely focused on yourself when you're pouring? Are you going to get the water into the glass? No way. You're going to be completely ineffective because you're all absorbed with yourself. But if you focus on the person that you're talking to, then you will know how to, I can't do it now. My daughter filled it too full. But then you're going to know exactly how to move your English, how to change it around, how to get in the receiver. So the key is focusing not on yourself, but on the other person. And I want to share with you a very quick story about my ex-husband. My former husband, his English wasn't great when we got married. And we used to go to a shopping mall, and we used to split up. And he would go to one store, I would go to the other, and we would agree to meet at McDonald's. And my husband, was a naturally very confident man within himself, but at a very low level of English, he used to send me these text messages that said, I ate you McDonald's 20 minutes. And I used to say to him, honey, I don't know what you mean. I don't know what you've been just for 20 minutes and you're leaving. You just arrived and you're to leave, or you get to McDonald's in 20 minutes. I said to him, you need a little bit of grammar here, my love. And he would say, yeah, okay. The next time he would text me, it would say something like this: just arrive, McDonald, wait you now. So he never worried about his grammar. He didn't get the grammar right, but he focused on what I needed. I needed to know whether he just arrived or he'd been there for 20 minutes. And he did that without perfect grammar. So confidence is trusting yourself and trusting that the English that you have is just good enough, and now you can focus on the other person. That's what I think the key to confidence is. Come back and you guys.
Thank you so much, Marianna. It was amazing. I was so stunned. Like, how can we actually learn English in a very fun way? With that being said, guys, do comment, in the comment section below about your goal in 10 words so that you can get a free giveaway about the whole set that Marianna has written. With that being said, Marianna, I would like to ask you this one question, and that is, if you did feel totally confident, what would you do?
Are you asking me personally?
It's for the people, like when they're actually very confident, then what would they do? I mean, like when they're absolutely confident about themselves.
Why don't we ask them? Why don't we ask everybody to type
exactly.
in? Let's
all the people who are watching it, let's just ask them, what would they do if they had full confidence in themselves? Please comment down below. What would you do? And maybe we can just read and gain confidence by reading your comment about you being confident.
Exactly. And can we show a slide of Marianna about the pharmacist store and Wilson? Can we show a slide?
I was in a pharmacy. I had to buy Omega. My doctor said I should get Omega. And I go to the shelf, there's tons of Omega. There's Omega that's high in DHA, Omega high in EPA, and I don't know which one to buy. Now the sales rep happened to be there, and I saw she was like this well-dressed professional woman. I walk over to her, and I see this look as she sees this sort of, it's a look I recognize very well. Her eyes go all, it's sort of that panic, oh my God, I gotta speak to a native speaker, and she's gonna judge me and notice my mistakes. I go up there and I explain my situation, which Omega do I get? And she starts explaining to me everything about DHA and EPA you could possibly imagine. She speaks very quickly, goes all around in circles, and when she finishes, no idea what to buy. Right? So I turn to the girl behind the counter. Now the girl behind the counter, I heard her before, her English level is very low. But when I walk over to her, this girl, there's no fear. In fact, she's just looking at me. You know that? Yeah, okay, so how? Right. Yeah, I've been in Malaysia a long time. So I go up to her and I explain the problem, EPA, DHA. She looks at me, she says, okay, EPA for heart, DHA for brain. Your heart okay or not? So I said, yeah, I said my heart is really, I think it's pretty good. She says, your brain okay or not? I said, yeah, no. No, my brain is not as good as it used to be. She looked, she said, okay la, you take Omega DHA, can? Problem solved, right?
Hello. Well, this is interesting. I realized that just now when I was explaining about, introducing myself, the mic wasn't on. So, hi everyone, I'm Winston. I'm the producer of Show Up, and this is it's interesting for us to be able to collaborate with English Olympiad to have this show, this first ever live show that I'm gonna do, and I'm so happy to be here together with Doreen to host this session. Hi, Doreen.
Every time I usually round of applause.
Yeah, okay, we have applause. So Doreen, we're gonna talk about another issue for this part. As you can see that we're counting down, right? All the different challenges that people have. So this session is gonna be about what if I get stressed talking to my superiors, your bosses, your clients. Doreen, do you have this experience? Doreen, you have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, it's just such a common issue all the time, because like talking to a superior is difficult by itself, but when it's bad news, it's just worse. It just gets really worse, and like nervousness, like the confidence just vanishes. So I would love to hear more about this from Marianna.
Exactly, Marianna. Do you encounter this? A lot of people telling you that this is a problem. They can't deliver bad news.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking to bosses freaks people out. But before I get into that, I just want to remind us, we said they were going to win a prize for telling us what they would do if they had confidence. So let's make sure we come back to that, because we want to make sure we give them this great prize. I'm going to give them a full set of my ebooks for them, a full set. So big prizes today. Yeah, talking to bosses. Here's what I notice. This is what happens all the time. I see it like clockwork, okay? Tell me, you guys watching this, tell me if you recognize this. So people will go to tell their boss about a problem or something like that, and they go in there intending to lead the conversation, right? So that means they're like, if you can imagine, they're in the driver's seat of the conversation. They're driving the car. They're going in to tell their boss all about it. And then sometimes they're so nervous that they start talking in great detail and giving their boss way too many facts and things like that. And the boss maybe gets sort of fed up, or he doesn't know where you're getting at, or he's not sure if you're capable of solving the problem, and he starts having questions in his head, or she starts having questions in her head. So then the boss asks the question, And then that person who was driving that car so beautifully, as soon as they get the question from their boss, what happens? They give up the driver's seat. They stop driving. In their minds, they think, okay, my boss is now taking over driving this car, driving the conversation. They move into the passenger seat. And then from then on, the boss takes over, asking the questions. That subordinate becomes the person who just answers questions. This is the big problem. Give up the driver's seat.
So true, so true. Now, everyone, we would encourage you guys to comment in the comment section in order to win the free ebook. The full, Marianna, would you be able to share with everyone the ebook? How does it look like? Your book? Do you have the book with you?
Look, it's a great book because it's not boring. It's not boring. It's cartoons, and every page teaches one interesting thing with a cartoon. So these are great ways to learn English, and they're unboring. They're the opposite of school.
Yeah. So
for all the teachers out there,
put it into comment section. What would you do if you had confidence? What would you do if you had confidence to just show up and get it? What would you do? Comment in the comment section to win this ebook, this amazing ebook, okay? Now I'm gonna give it to Doreen to continue to introduce the Marianna to talk about the session.
So yes, Marianna, we would love to hear the answers to the question that how do you feel when you have to tell your boss or a client bad news?
Well, it feels bad, doesn't it? I think everybody can agree it feels pretty scary to have to go in because bosses don't want to hear about problems. They don't want more weight added to their shoulders, do they? They want weight taken away from them. So shall I share with you a wonderful formula that you can use the next time you talk to your bosses, where you have to bring problems to your boss. This is a great formula. It works at any level. And let's imagine, for example, I had this situation with this nurse really recently. She was a nurse at a big international school. And she would go into her boss, for example. At this international school, she was really scared of her boss because he was this giant man and, you know, he was old and he was a foreigner and she felt a little bit sort of freaked out. So the way she would talk to him would be like this. She would say, boss, can I... one of the children fell off the swing today and he's had an accident and I think he's dislocated his shoulder. Now, immediately, the boss would see problems and the boss would start panicking and asking questions. So I taught her this formula. So here's the formula for presenting problems to your boss. Are you ready for this? It goes like this. Yeah. Eyes. Do it with me, everybody. I want you to do it with me. Everybody who's watching, I can actually see with my X-ray vision. Do it with me. Eyes, smile, body, legs. Eyes, smile, body, legs. So this is what the formula means. First thing you do when you talk to your boss about a problem is you let him see what he's going to be listening to. In other words, you let him see what the issue is up front. So for example, she might say to him, boss, can I talk to you for a minute about an issue that just happened in the playground? That's the first sentence. Don't dive into the details. Now, second thing, put a smile on his face. He doesn't want to feel like, oh my God, she's giving me more problems. She's dumping problems on me. So say to him something that will make him smile. Don't worry, boss. Everything is under control. It's not a big issue, and we're on top of it. Now he's ready to listen without sort of feeling he's got to do the solving in his head. Next thing, the body. The body is just all the information you need to give him. You know, okay, a boy, little Tommy was in the playground. He fell off the slide. I think he might have fractured a shoulder, and I'd like to take him to the hospital to get an x-ray. Don't worry about everything. Contact the parent. And then the final thing is the legs. And the legs are the final. So the legs, okay, a boy, little Tommy was in the playground. A lot of feedback. I think he might have fractured a shoulder. And I'd like to take him to the hospital. I'm going to close down my own everything. Okay, I don't know if that came. for the legs is the action. So that's where you say to your boss, so can I have your approval to take little Tommy to the hospital? So tell them why they're there. Let them see why you're going to talk to them. Assure them that everything's okay. Tell them in a nutshell what the issue is, and then tell them the action you need from them. So that's my formula for telling a problem to you.
Wow, it's super useful.
That was amazing.
It's amazing.
That was so helpful. I've been taking notes all throughout because I'm surely going to try it.
Yeah, so I mean, on you know, writing on the ebook winning competition, write in the comment section if you can, write about one thing you have learned from that formula. One thing that you have learned.
What would you do differently next time you talk to your boss, especially about a bad news?
Exactly. All right. Let's let the comments coming in. Well, thank you, Marianna. That sharing is just so amazing. And I think.
Thank you. You'll have to read the comments because I just had to close my Facebook, unfortunately, because it was getting feedback. So please comments to me when they come in.
Sure. Okay, I'm gonna put it on the screen right now.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah, I would do public speaking, debate if I have confidence. I would do anchoring too. I would be easily communicate with my superiors, especially with my teachers, and confidently talk about if I had any problem with their actions regarding something. Oh, what do you think about that?
You know what? I would like to say to you guys who wrote that, you can do that already. Because remember, you know what? Confidence is just what's inside you. You don't need, it's the one thing in your life you don't need money to buy. You don't need permission from anybody. And you don't need to go anywhere to get it. It's all within. So remember, there are people who really communicate in English at a very low level, have absolute confidence. So you have it within you. All those comments you wrote, you can have that right now. Right now.
Amazing. And Marianna, I know that there's going to be a lot more formulas like this where you're going to coach people in your show up masterclass, isn't it?
Oh yeah, we have just put together the most. It's sort of the pride of my life. It's an online course that will teach you formulas like the one I just told you. It will teach you little formulas and tricks for all of those common communication challenges we face. For 20 of them. It's a great course, and you hear from experts too who will give their expert advice. And the coolest thing about it, the thing that I've just loved doing with Winston, is with each session you actually get to see in this online course, you get to see someone just like you who comes in with a challenge, and you get to see a live coaching session with me where you get to see them go from struggling, for example, with no confidence or not knowing how to talk to their boss, and you get to see them come out at the other end using the formula. So it's a really, really cool course. It's all the best of my experience in 25 years in Malaysia, in Asia, passed on to you.
Wow.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
Keep the comments coming, and I'm gonna play the video of Show Up promo for you guys to see, because we have a very good deal for English Olympiad followers today. All right, let's take a look at it.
You'll get my personal top tips from training Asians for 25 years to speak English with more confidence. You'll also see someone just like you presenting their biggest communication challenge, and you'll watch them live in a one-to-one coaching session improve right there on the spot. And that's not all. In every module, I also personally consult with one of the world's global leaders in communication and leadership. Our guests don't just get a personal coaching session with me. For every guest, I reach out to one of the global experts in communication and leadership for their advice. That's right, I speak to some of the world's leading experts in these areas. and they give me their absolute best tips. And that means that you learn from the best of the best. They're coming to us from Singapore all the way to San Francisco. Here's a few examples.
That simple. So what we think drives how we feel drives how we behave drives our results. Now, we don't know what you're thinking and we don't know what you're feeling, Jill, but what we do know is the results that you're getting and the behaviors that we're seeing.
So a lot of times people will say speak from the heart, and I find that that will warm the voice. However, speaking from the heart a lot of times doesn't do women of that category much service because they soften still.
When people think about no, they're thinking something in isolation. No and yes are flip sides of the coin, right? So you know when we make a incision into a piece of meat or a surgeon cuts into a body, you're cutting in. When we have a decision part, and the two sides of a decision, we say yes to one and we say no to something.
Honestly, that video makes me want to go on right now and start a public speaking program, and I want to start that. Trust me, I've gained so much confidence. Like, yeah, just like Doreen, look at me sitting with a copy and a pen, writing down everything. You know, it's like I'm totally fine, you know, now. I'll be ready to do anything anyone asks me to. I'm that confident. Thank you so much, Marianna, for this amazing, suggestions and advice. We hope to have more of you in the future. And I think we're going to be moving on to the next session. And for that, I'm going to be giving the mic to Lamia Rahman Rosa to go ahead with the next session.
So it's basically like when people, there are certain times when they cannot explain themselves, right? So I guess you face it. I mean, how do they explain themselves? I mean, sometimes do they talk too much, like over-explain themselves, or they just talk very little and just simply cannot explain themselves? So what would be your advice on that, Marianna?
Well, before I share the advice on that, I'm going to share with you the issue that happens, because we've got to know what goes wrong before we can fix it, right? So remember, for everybody out there, your number 3 challenge, the third to the top challenge, we're getting closer to your number 1 challenge, but your third challenge was explaining. And you know what? A lot of the training that I've done is simply helping people to explain clearly, because what goes wrong is this. We live today in such a, and tell me if this is not true in your lives. You have so much pressure to produce results quickly from your boss. You've got so much pressure at work to quickly move and get it done and move on to the next thing, that we're so rushed for time that when we try to explain something, we tend to not take the time that we need here. We dive into the details, in other words. We just zoom into the details. I'm getting a lot of hearing myself. Is this just me or is it everybody? Before we go on, is there anything I can do about it?
Yeah.
I think we have extra windows opened. I think we could close that and then that could work. We're getting echoes, right? We're getting so much echo.
Yeah. But I guess it's fine now.
Okay,
Yeah, it's open.
I'm not sure how to solve it because I've got everything closed. But let's carry on. So here's what happens when people are explaining and they feel time pressured and they're in a rush to get things done. People tend to, now listen to this, because this is the key problem to explaining. People tend to dive into the details very quickly. In other words, they jump into the small details, and the person they're talking to has probably been doing something else or thinking something, and they can't catch up. They don't know what you're talking about. So the key to it is to stop this rush diving into the details and to start with the big picture. Do you want me to carry on, or do you want to, should we go to the audience? And I'd like to find the audience. Can we ask them a question? I'd love to know from the audience, before I tell you how to fix the problem. Can we ask them a question?
Audience, please comments down below, because tell us the need. Whom do you feel the need to explain yourself to win a free giveaway as well? Please comment down below, everyone.
Do comment this down below too if you talk too much or too less when you need to explain. We need to know that as well, because I have a problem that is I keep talking so much that I forget what I'm talking about, when I have to explain something. Exactly. And then I go off topic. And then I'm like, what am I talking about? What's wrong with me? And then the person's like, okay, you can shut up now. Just get off of my face.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm guessing that the reason you go off topic, like a lot of people, when you start quickly diving into the details and the person you're talking to doesn't quite get what you're talking about, they give you that look. You can see in their eyes they're not quite with you. And a lot of people, when they see that look in the eye of the other person, what do? Do they stop and clarify or back up? No, they think, okay, I'll try another way, or I'll keep talking until they get it. And that's why we overspeak. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. It honestly makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, type everybody, comment
this
and let us know
question.
this is making sense.
Yeah, I also have this question, Marianna, and that is whenever I'm talking to a friend or a significant other, to be very honest, it's like I always share the details. I mean, sometimes it does harm, it does kind of more harm than good. I don't know. I just always share the details that this is what exactly happened, and I don't know how to overcome it. I mean, if you could enlighten me.
Can I share the solution?
Of course, looking forward to it.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you if you think this would work with you. Now, I've got a little book here right now. It doesn't matter what the book is, but when you're explaining something, think like the way books inform. A book is information, right? But what happens when you go into a bookstore and you buy a book? You don't just buy the book and open it and start reading the details. You don't start going to the first page and reading it. What's the very first thing that you do? Don't we go to the back cover? And the back cover of the book is generally, right? That back cover is like the kind of sort of summary of what is going to be inside. So it's like the big picture. This is what you're going to get if you read this book. And it usually makes you somehow interested in seeing the benefit of reading it. So that's why before you get into details, start with the big picture. And then, only then, you start with headings. Look, in books, I'm showing you this book. We've got tables of contents and we've got chapters, right? When you start talking, you don't dive into the words. Then you say, the first thing I'm going to talk about, you give that heading. So the trick to explaining is think like a book. What would be the back cover? What's the big picture? And then what's the heading of chapter 1? What's the first thing you're going to talk about? There's one more thing I want to share with you. I want to do a little experiment with you, okay? Everybody, we're going to do a little experiment because here's another trick. I'd like to ask everybody watching to imagine that you just bought a beautiful car, let's say a Lamborghini. You just bought a Lamborghini. And you're getting a pitch, a persuasive pitch from a car insurance organization. And they're going to tell you about their service if you choose to get your car insured with them. Now, I'm going to read you two versions of this. And I want you to type, please, in the chat box, which version you prefer to listen to. In other words, which is the better explanation? Are you ready for this? Everybody ready? Okay, so here we go. Here's the first one. Everybody, you're going to type in. And ladies, I want you to tell me after, which version do you think is the better explanation? Here's the first one. First one. If you pay your road tax directly to us at our office, this will entitle you to get a road assist package so that you can get free towing in the case of an accident and free vehicle checkups 4 times a year. Now, here's version number 2. If you pay your road tax directly to us at our office, you'll get our road assist package. Now, this means that you get free towing in case of an accident. You also get free vehicle checkups 4 times a year. So, ladies, I'm going to come back to you. Which version did you prefer, the first or the second? Ladies, Ishika?
The second one.
Second one.
Very clear.
Yeah, what are people writing in the comments? What are they saying? First version or second?
It was like second one, yes. Miss Maisha Malama said second one. Then Miss Rajatul Chumi Mahendran said number 2. Anthea Primrose said number 2. Abdul Razak said second. Oh, everyone's voting for the second one.
Agreed with us. Obviously, like the second version sounds more clear.
Well, what is it about the second version that was different? Could you please type it into the chat box? What in the comments? Sorry, not the chat box, the comments. I'm zoomed out. I'm all chat box from Zoom. What was the difference? You guys. What did the second version have that the first didn't?
The second version actually had explained in less words, and it explained more in less words, right? So that's one. We don't want too much explanation. We just need to know what it's going to do, what's going to be there, like what we need to know. If we start listening to, here's my granddad. If he needs to tell a story, he's going to go back to when he was born and how his mom fed him, and then he's going to get started with the story. And we don't like that, right? That's my granddad, and I'm so scared to go and sit beside him. But yeah,
I hope he's not watching this. I hope Granddad's not watching tonight. But
he was watching television.
But actually, Ishika, actually, they had the same word count. It wasn't actually short. It sounded shorter because the second one had what? Begins with P. It begins with P. It had PA, PAU, PUX. It had pauses.
Okay. It had stops in between, full stops in between, yes.
So in those pauses, what were you doing when I stopped after each new idea and I paused? What were you, the listener, doing?
I saved every single information clearly in my head. You said one line, I saved it. You said another line, I saved it. So that's how it went, right? So I said something and I installed it inside me. But when you said it all together, I installed a little, and then from the between and a little from the end. So it was your second time you said it.
You know what? You just so beautifully, when you installed it, I heard anyone say it like that, but I was like, your brain needs some time to leave and install and get it in there. And that's what the beauty of pauses is. So the problem with explanations is we rush and we don't give the other person time to internalize and digest. Yeah. So
what happens in most of the countries, especially my country's education system, they're just going to be like, mitochondria is powerhouse of the cell, brain is the most important part of the body. And we're like, well, what's going on? And then we don't understand anything, and then we have to come back at tuitions, like everything's just messed up. So I think people should take your tip to pauses in between every single sentence, because that actually helps install information in our brain, and then we can process it later on.
Absolutely. And it's really, really hard to do because in such, again, organizing from the big picture to the details will really sort of flow into what you're saying in a calm pace. Yeah, great. Install. I'm going to remember that. Install the information. Love it. Love it.
Thank you. I just make some words up and I'm proud of myself for 5 minutes.
Hey, can I just share one more thing that might be valuable specifically for Bangladeshis? Can I share one thing?
Sure.
Okay, because I've had a lot of Bangladeshi participants and, dare I say, fans who've reached out to me and we've had conversations. And one thing I notice is that the pronunciation, okay, well, let me, it's not a pronunciation problem, okay? Don't freak out now, my Bangladeshi friends. Don't start thinking, oh my God, I got bad pronunciation. That's not what I'm saying, okay? Can I share a quick story? Tell you a little story. Okay. When I first went to Malaysia, I was teaching at the British Council. This is 25 years ago. And I remember I said a room full of students something about advertisements. And the British teacher came up to me and said, "Oh, my dear, we don't pronounce it advertisement. We pronounce it advertisement." Now, can you see the difference? The stress is on the ad. I say, I'm Canadian, we pronounce Americans, advertisement. The first one is advertisement. Okay? She pronounced it like this, advertisement. Stress on the second one. Then I went to Malaysia and I found out the way everyone pronounces it here is advertisement. They put the stress on the third syllable. So the fact is, and Bangladeshis have different stress from me. Very different stress. For example, Bangladeshi I was talking to recently, I heard him say development. He was saying the word, now I say development. He said development. I couldn't understand. Now, it doesn't mean you want to change your pronunciation. You cannot start thinking about where I put my word stress, because mine's different from British people, which is different from Singaporeans and Australians. But what you can do is those long words like development and advertisement, slow down and say each syllable clearly. That's all you have to do. Slow down the big words, because all the places was understanding when the word stress in another country is different. Does that make any sense to everybody? Please tell me if I'm making any sense to you.
You're, of course, making a lot of sense. In fact, you're standing so more than I used to before. And yeah, all thanks to you, Marianna, beautiful lady. Oh my God, you're so pretty. Anyways, we're having so many comments, and people from all were commenting.
Also, viral video.
Yeah,
Marianna,
and then
went really viral so that our audience can have a look.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and others have been commenting. Mullah has. Okay, we are having a.
And I've had it on the car so we can't get down. We're in the car, we get out. And he says, "Oh, okay, get down. Can't change." In fact, I was in a taxi the other day, and the taxi driver said to me, "Okay, miss, you get down here, huh?" I said, no. You get out here. He said, "It's my taxi, you get out."
Hello. Doreen, have you watched the whole video, that viral humorous video? It's so funny. Exactly. Well, the previous session was so interesting, about explaining it. A lot of people can relate to that. Now we're counting down to the top second most biggest challenge. Second, what is it about, Doreen?
More than action sometimes. And before I talk to anyone or say something to someone, I always in my head think over about the impact my words are going to have on them. And it's just constantly worrying whether they're going to be heard or how they're just going to react to it.
It's so true. It's so true. Constant. Marianna, what do you think about this?
Yeah, it's so common, and it's so common, in fact, that in our online course, we have many sections in different areas of those difficult conversations, like, what happens if you have to say no? How do you say no? So we've got quite a lot on those difficult conversations, but it's really, really hard. And I think in generally in Asia, people don't like to, people are a little bit more careful about not hurting people. My ex-husband was Chinese, right? So he would never, first of all, he would never, like, if he was ever angry at his customer, the customer really, I'd say to him, look, you should talk to your customer, just talk to him, talk it out. He would say, no, I'm not going to talk to him. What I'll do is just not show up for work tomorrow, and he'll understand. I'd say, why don't you just pick up the phone and have that conversation? He'd say, no. It's because he couldn't have those difficult conversations. So yeah, it's really, really, really very difficult, isn't it? I'd love to know, the people watching this, I would love to know what are some of the difficult situations they face with this.
Yeah, you can comment.
That is so relatable. That is so relatable, because we often run from our problems rather than have a very difficult conversation about it, face the situation. It's just sort of, I just chicken out sometimes. I just turn off my phone, just go to sleep.
Oh my husband.
What about the rest of you? Do you guys face situations where you